People love to romanticize the Stone Age. They imagine noble savages living in perfect harmony with nature, spending their days lounging around eating berries and their nights dancing under the stars. Nothing could be further from the truth. For most people, the Stone Age was basically a non-stop horror movie where death lurked around every corner, and surviving to age 30 was considered a legendary achievement. Oh, and if you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Super curious where you're all listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. Always blows my mind how people are falling asleep to this all over the world. Alright, let's head back to the Upper Paleolithic about 20,000 years ago. Trust me, it's gonna be quite a ride, but first, get comfortable. Seriously, adjust those pillows, pull up that blanket, because where we're going, you're gonna want to be cozy. So congratulations, you just woke up in a cave during the last ice age. It's the dead of winter, and the first thing that hits you is the cold. Not the mild discomfort of forgetting to close a window, but the kind of bone-deep chill that makes your lungs ache with each breath. Your eyelids feel glued together, crusted with sleep, and the air around you smells like wood smoke, damp fur, and something else. An earthy, musky scent that's part body odor, part animal hide. You're not alone. Pressed against you for warmth are 6 other humans, your family group. Not all blood relatives, but your band, your survival unit. The cave floor beneath you isn't smooth, but covered with a mixture of fur pelts laid over dry grass. This bedding hasn't been changed in months, and honestly, it's getting pretty rank. Unlike your warm bed right now, this sleeping surface is lumpy, hard, and occasionally crawling with tiny passengers you'd rather not think about. There's still frost clinging to the cave walls, catching the faint pre-dawn light that's barely making its way through the cave entrance. Someone, probably the oldest woman in your group, is already hunched by the remains of last night's fire, carefully nurturing a few stubborn embers with dried moss and her own breath. If that fire dies completely, you might all die too. No pressure. Your stomach aches with a familiar hollow pain. You haven't eaten since yesterday's meagre meal, some dried meat and a handful of nuts. Winter has been long and harsh. Game is scarce. The stored food from autumn is almost gone. Someone needs to hunt today, or things will get desperate. Welcome to an average morning in the Stone Age, where every day starts with the same thought: survive. The woman at the fire, let's call her Nima, has finally coaxed a small flame to life. She's about 50, which in Stone Age terms makes her practically ancient. Her face is a map of wrinkles, her hands gnarled from decades of work, but her eyes are sharp and knowing. In your band, she's the keeper of medicinal knowledge and fire-making skills. When someone gets sick or injured, it's Nima they turn to. When the fire needs tending in the dead of night, it's Nima who wakes. She survived 5 decades in this unforgiving world, which makes her wisdom more valuable than any tool. Fires up, she says in your language, which wouldn't sound anything like modern speech. It would be a fully developed language with complex grammar, but with sounds and rhythms that would seem alien to our ears today. One by one, your band members stir. There's Ren, a powerfully built man in his 30s with a nasty scar running down his arm, a souvenir from a cave lion encounter he barely survived 3 winters ago. His partner Kira cradles their newest baby, just 2 months old. The infant's tiny face is the only clean thing in the cave, and everyone knows the uncomfortable truth. In this harsh winter, with food so scarce, the baby's chances of seeing spring are maybe 50-50. Across the fire pit are the teenagers, Tam and Lev, siblings who lost their parents to fever last year. The band took them in because that's what you do. Lone humans don't survive long in this world. And finally, there's you, somewhere in your 20s, though exact age isn't something anyone keeps track of here. Breakfast is a grim affair. Nima scrapes the last of yesterday's bone marrow from a cracked femur and distributes it in pathetically small portions. The baby gets first priority, then the elders, then everyone else. The taste is rich and fatty. In better times, it would be delicious. Today, it's just enough to sharpen your hunger rather than satisfy it. We hunt today, Ren says, glancing at you and Lev. Big hunt. We need meat. And there it is. The day's mission. The only thing that matters. Find food or face starvation. No weekends in the Stone Age, no sick days, no vacations. Just the endless cycle of seeking sustenance. Outside the cave, the world is transformed by winter. A thick blanket of snow covers the landscape, and your breath hangs in the air like ghost. The trees stand bare against the pale sky, and silence envelops everything. The kind of profound quiet that only exists when snow muffles the world. For a moment, it's breathtakingly beautiful. Then reality sets in as your feet, wrapped in animal hide boots stuffed with dried grass, crunch through the snow crust. Beauty doesn't fill empty stomachs. Before you can hunt, though, you need to prepare. The tools of your survival aren't sitting in a shed or hanging on a wall. They need maintenance, sharpening, checking for damage. Ren kneels in the snow and unwraps a bundle of spears, each one a masterpiece of Stone Age engineering. The main hunting spear is a straight shaft of wood about 6 feet long, carefully selected and dried over months. At its business end, a stone point is attached with a mixture of pine resin and animal sinew. The binding has to be checked daily for weakness. A failing binding means a lost spearhead, which means a failed hunt, which means hunger. Lev, the teenager, is already working on his weapon, a shorter throwing spear used with an atlatl, or spear thrower. It's an ingenious device that effectively lengthens the human arm, creating more leverage and dramatically increasing the distance and force with which a spear can be thrown. It's basically Stone Age artillery, a weapon so effective that variations of it were independently invented by cultures all over the world. Need new point, Lev says, showing you where his spearhead has developed a hairline crack. Not immediately useless, but unreliable. In the Stone Age, unreliable tools get you killed. You reach into a small pouch at your waist and produce several carefully napped flint points. Each one represents hours of work, chipping away flakes of stone with precise blows to create a lethal edge. This isn't random banging of rocks together. It's a sophisticated technology requiring deep understanding of stone properties and fracture mechanics. The points in your pouch are different sizes and shapes, each designed for specific prey. Smaller, narrower points for birds and small game. Broader, leaf-shaped points for deer. Heavy, triangular points for dangerous, large game. You select a medium-sized point for Lev's spear and begin the process of attaching it. First, you need fresh resin. Luckily, there's a pine tree not far from the cave entrance. You take a small, ember-filled bark container from the fire and walk to the tree. Using a stone knife, you make a small incision in the bark and catch the sticky resin as it oozes out. The warm ember container keeps the resin from hardening in the cold. Back at the cave entrance, you heat the resin further until it's pliable, then apply it to the spear shaft. Next comes a length of sinew, animal tendon, that's been dried, pounded, and separated into fibers. When moistened with a bit of saliva, these fibers become nature's strongest thread. You wrap the sinew around the stone point and shaft, creating a secure bond that will harden as it dries. Good point, Lev says, testing the edge with his thumb, very sharp. While you've been working, Kira has been preparing too. Though she'll stay behind with the baby and Nima, her role is crucial. She hands each hunter a small packet wrapped in a scrap of leather, emergency fire-starting materials, dried moss, a few splinters of resin-rich wood, and a piece of iron pyrite that can be struck against flint to create sparks. If you're caught away from the cave in deadly cold, this small package might be the difference between life and death. The sun is fully up now, casting long shadows across the snow. Ren gestures to you and Lev. It's time to move out. You secure your spear, check your small stone knife, and adjust the fur wrappings that serve as your winter clothing. These aren't tailored garments with buttons and zippers. They're basically just animal pelts wrapped and tied around your body with sinew cord. They're heavy, somewhat restrictive, and they smell strongly of smoke and animal oils, but they keep you alive in temperatures that would kill an unprotected human in hours. Hunt well, Kira says simply. Bring meat, Nima adds, the elder's voice carrying the weight of necessity. It's not a suggestion. As you set off, following Ren down the snowy path from the cave, you feel the familiar mix of excitement and fear that comes with every hunt. The stakes couldn't be higher. Success means survival for another few days. Failure means watching hunger hollow the faces of your band even further. Ren leads the way, his eyes constantly scanning the landscape. In the Stone Age, humans aren't at the top of the food chain. We're somewhere in the middle. Wolves hunt in these woods. Cave lions still prowl the steppes beyond. And somewhere out there, the most terrifying predator of all. Other human bands, perhaps as desperate as yours, who might see you as either competition for scarce resources or, in the worst scenarios, as resources yourselves. After about an hour of walking, Ren stops suddenly, dropping to a crouch. You and Lev follow suit instantly. No one speaks. Ren points to a patch of snow about 20 feet ahead, where the white surface is disturbed. Tracks. You edge forward carefully and examine the prints. They're unmistakable, the cloven hoof prints of reindeer, and relatively fresh. From the depth and pattern, it's a small herd, maybe 5 or 6 animals, and they're heading toward the river valley to the east. A surge of hope rushes through you. Reindeer mean meat, hide, bone, sinew, everything your band desperately needs, but reindeer are fast, wary, and won't be easy to bring down. Ren outlines the plan using a combination of low whispers and hand gestures. You'll follow the tracks to the river valley. If the herd is still there, you'll split up to flank them. Lev, with his atlatl, will position himself downwind. You and Ren will approach from opposite sides, trying to drive the animals toward Lev's position. If everything goes perfectly, and it rarely does, you might bring down 1 or even 2 animals. The tracking begins in earnest now. Every disturbed patch of snow, every broken twig, every bit of dung is a clue to be read. This isn't some innate human ability. It's a complex skill that took years to develop. You learned it from watching the adults in your band, from making mistakes, from hunger-driven necessity. Like all Stone Age humans, you're a walking encyclopedia of natural knowledge. You can read the landscape like modern humans read books. As you follow the tracks, the forest gradually thins and the land slopes downward toward the river valley. Ren signals for silence and greater caution. You're getting close. The 3 of you crawl the last 100 yards, staying low in the snow, and then you see them, 4 reindeer grazing on exposed patches of moss and lichen in the valley below. Their breath forms clouds in the cold air, and their massive antlers silhouette against the snow. They're beautiful, majestic creatures. They're also walking bundles of life-saving resources. Ren signals the plan again. Lev will circle to the far side of the valley, positioning himself for a throwing shot. You'll approach from the right, Ren from the left. On Ren's signal, a bird call, you'll both rise and advance, hopefully startling the reindeer toward Lev's position. It takes nearly an hour for everyone to get into position. Stone Age hunting isn't quick or easy. It requires immense patience, endurance, and the ability to remain absolutely still for long periods despite the cold trying to seep into your bones. Finally, everyone is ready. You lie in the snow, barely breathing, waiting for Ren's signal. Your fingers grip your spear tightly, the stone point glinting in the winter sun. Your heart pounds in your chest. This moment, the tense seconds before a hunt, feels exactly the same now as it did 20,000 years ago. The rush of adrenaline, the hyper-focus of all senses, the knowledge that success or failure in the next few minutes could determine whether your loved ones eat or starve. The bird call sounds, 3 short whistles. You rise from your hiding place and advance, shouting and waving your arms. Across the valley, Ren does the same. The reindeer startle, heads up, instantly alert. For a heartbeat, they're frozen in place, processing the threat. Then they bolt, exactly as planned, toward Lev's position. Lev rises, atlatl in hand, spear loaded. His arm draws back and then snaps forward, the spear thrower extending his reach and multiplying his power. The spear flies true, covering the distance in a flash, and strikes the trailing reindeer in the flank. It's not an instantly fatal wound, but it's a hit. The injured reindeer stumbles, falling behind the fleeing herd. Now you and Ren sprint forward, converging on the wounded animal. It regains its footing and tries to run, but the injury slows it. You close the distance, heart hammering, legs burning with effort. The reindeer turns to face you, lowering its antlers in defense. It's frightened, wounded, and dangerous. A single kick or antler swipe could break bones or worse. Ren circles to the animal's blind side, spear ready. The reindeer pivots, trying to keep both of you in sight. In that moment of distraction, you lunge forward, driving your spear into the animal's chest with all your strength. The stone point penetrates hide and muscle, seeking the heart. The reindeer bellows, a sound of pain and fury that echoes across the valley. It's not over. The wounded animal charges, nearly impaling you with its antlers. You dive aside, losing your grip on the spear that remains embedded in the reindeer's chest. Ren seizes the opportunity and drives his own spear into the reindeer's throat. Blood sprays across the snow, turning it crimson. The animal staggers, takes 3 more steps, and collapses. For a moment, no one moves. You're all breathing hard, steam billowing from your mouths in the cold air. Then Lev lets out a whoop of triumph and you feel a smile break across your face. You've done it. You've brought down a reindeer. Your band will eat tonight. But there's no time to celebrate for long. The real work is just beginning. A dead reindeer in the snow is just potential. You need to process it here and now and transport what you can back to the cave before dark, before predators are drawn to the blood, before the meat freezes, too solid to cut. Ren pulls out his stone knife and begins the butchering process. Nothing will be wasted. The meat, obviously, is the primary prize, enough to feed your band for days, but every part of the animal has value. The hide will become clothing or shelter material. The antlers will be crafted into tools. The sinew will be used for binding. The bones will provide marrow and then become tool materials themselves. The organs will be eaten first, as they're most nutritious and spoil quickest. As you help with the butchering, your hands quickly become slick with blood despite the cold. This is messy, physically demanding work. There's no sanitized, plastic-wrapped meat here. This is the raw reality of food acquisition in the Stone Age, bloody, visceral, and immediate. You work quickly, aware that the daylight won't last forever and that the blood smell might attract unwanted attention. Wolves have been known to challenge humans for their kills, and in your weakened, hungry state, that's not a fight you want. By mid-afternoon, you've processed the reindeer as much as possible. The most valuable parts, the organs, some choice meat cuts, and the tools to be, are wrapped in the hide, creating a makeshift sled that can be dragged through the snow. You'll have to make another trip tomorrow to retrieve what remains, but you've hidden those leftovers under snow and marked the location. The journey back to the cave is arduous. The reindeer parts are heavy, and dragging them through snow requires strength you can barely muster after months of limited food. But the weight is welcome. It's the weight of survival. As the cave comes into view in the fading light, you see Kira standing at the entrance, the baby bundled against her chest. She spots the blood-stained package you're dragging and visibly sags with relief. She calls back into the cave, and moments later, Nima appears. The old woman's face breaks into a rare smile. "Meat," she says simply. "Tonight your band will eat well for the first time in weeks. The hollow-eyed, gaunt faces will find some relief. The baby will get the nutrition it desperately needs. You've bought time, days of life for everyone." As you enter the cave, exhausted but triumphant, the immediate preparations begin. Nima builds up the fire while Kira starts cutting thin strips of liver, the first, most nutritious parts to be eaten. The smell of cooking meat soon fills the cave, and your stomach clenches painfully in anticipation. This moment, returning successful from a hunt, the firelight flickering on cave walls, the smell of food, the sounds of your band members talking excitedly. This is as good as it gets in the Stone Age. No smartphones, no television, no distractions, just the pure, uncomplicated satisfaction of having solved the most fundamental problem of existence for another day. You've survived, for now. The triumph of yesterday's hunt lingers in your bones as dawn breaks. Your belly is actually full for once, a rare sensation in the dead of winter. The remains of the reindeer carcass won't last long, though. Your band needs to make another trip to harvest what's left before scavengers claim it. Ren is already up, chewing on a strip of meat he saved from last night. His eyes meet yours, and he nods toward the cave entrance. "Need to get the rest. Wolves will smell it." He's right. You've bought yourself maybe a day or two of food security, but only if you retrieve what remains, and this time the hunt location will be more dangerous. Predators have had all night to pick up the scent of blood on the snow. Outside, the sky is clear and painfully bright as sunlight reflects off the endless white. Your eyes narrow to slits as they adjust. The temperature feels slightly warmer than yesterday, maybe only a little below freezing instead of bone-chillingly cold. Small victories. Today's expedition will be different. No need for stealth or complex hunting strategy. You know exactly where you're going, but speed matters now. Get to the kill site, collect what's left, and return before anything else stakes a claim. Ren gestures to Tam, the teenage girl, to join you instead of Lev today. She's smaller than her brother, but faster, with keen eyes that miss nothing. She seems pleased to be included, securing a bone knife at her waist and grabbing a leather-carrying pack. "I'll make new sinew thread from the tendons," she says, her voice carrying the excitement of someone eager to contribute a specialized skill. The three of you set out, following yesterday's tracks through the snow. You move quickly, not bothering with the silence and caution of a hunt. Conversation actually happens, a luxury you couldn't afford yesterday. "Was it a clean kill?" Tam asks, curious about the hunt she wasn't part of. Clean enough, you answer. Lev got the first hit with the atlatl, slowed it down so we could finish it. He won't shut up about it, she says, rolling her eyes in that universal teenage way that apparently hasn't changed in 20,000 years. Thinks he's the greatest hunter ever now. Ren snorts. Better than when he missed that rabbit last week, hit a tree and broke his point. You both laugh, and Tam relaxes a bit, pleased to be treated like an adult on this expedition. The journey takes less time today since you're moving with purpose rather than stealth. Within 2 hours you approach the kill site, and Ren signals for quiet. Not hunting quiet, but wary quiet. Best not to announce yourselves if something else has found the carcass. Creeping forward, you scan the area. The snow is disturbed around where you left the remains, and dark spots of blood create a stark contrast against the white. But something's wrong. The carefully piled snow you used to conceal the leftovers has been scattered. Ren picks up a broken branch and sniffs it. His face tightens. "Wolf," he says simply. Everyone freezes, scanning the surroundings more carefully now. Wolves aren't just competition for food. They're serious predators that can take down a human, especially humans weakened by months of winter hunger. Recent, you ask? Ren nods. Very. Maybe still close. As if summoned by his words, a low growl emerges from the trees to your right, then another from behind you. Not just one wolf, a pack. "Don't run," Ren says quietly, though no one needs the reminder. Running triggers the chase instinct. Instead, you all back slowly toward a large pine tree, putting it at your backs to prevent an attack from behind. 3 wolves emerge from the tree line, lean, hungry-looking beasts with winter-thick fur. Their yellow eyes are fixed on you, calculating. They're smart enough to recognize humans as dangerous, but desperate enough from winter hunger to consider you prey. Tam's hand trembles slightly as she pulls out her knife. It's a pathetic defense against wolf teeth, but better than nothing. "Fire," you whisper, remembering the emergency kit Kira packed for each of you. Without taking his eyes off the wolves, Ren nods slightly. "Need space first." The wolves begin to spread out, instinctively moving to flank you. One edges closer, testing your resolve. Ren shouts suddenly and lunges forward, jabbing with his spear. The wolf jumps back, startled by the aggression. "Now," Ren yells. "The fire!" You fumble at your waist for the small leather pouch, pulling out the moss, wood splinters, and iron pyrite. Your hands are shaking, a bad sign when precision matters. One wolf is edging toward Tam, sensing she's the weakest of the 3. You strike the pyrite against your flint knife, trying to catch a spark in the dry moss. The wolves creep closer. Tam stabs at the air with her knife, but the wolf just weaves back and forth, looking for an opening. Finally, a spark catches. You blow gently on the moss, watching the tiny ember grow. The wolves are 10 feet away now, tensed to spring. You add the resinous wood splinters to the growing ember, and they catch almost instantly, flaring into bright flame. "Tam!" you shout, passing her the makeshift torch. She waves it toward the nearest wolf, which backs away quickly, fear of fire overriding hunger. Ren has his own fire starter out now, working to light a second torch. Between the flame, the spear, and your knives, the wolves reconsider their odds. The largest one, probably the pack leader, gives a short bark, and they retreat to the tree line. Not gone, but no longer immediately threatening. "They won't go far," Ren says. "Work fast." You approach the remains of the reindeer, keeping one eye on the wolves watching from the trees. Most of the exposed meat is gone, either taken by the wolves or other scavengers, but the most valuable parts remain. The bones, still rich with marrow, the antlers, some of the tougher tendons and ligaments, and surprisingly, a good portion of the hide that was buried deeper in the snow. You work quickly, using stone tools to separate the remaining useful parts. The long leg bones are particularly prized, not just for the calorie-rich marrow inside, but because they'll become tool handles, needles, and awls. The skull with its massive antlers is too large to transport whole, so Wren works to separate the antlers with careful strikes from a stone hammer. Tam is expertly collecting the tendons, rolling them into tight bundles that she'll later process into thread. Nothing goes to waste. Not the hooves, not the teeth, not even scraps of remaining meat that look too damaged or frozen to eat. In the Stone Age, too gross to eat isn't a concept that exists. Hunger is too constant a companion to refuse anything with calories. The wolves pace restlessly at the tree line, occasionally testing how close they can approach before you wave the torch at them. It's an ancient dance between species, competition and mutual respect. They want what you have, but they also recognize that humans are dangerous prey. You want them gone, but also understand they're just trying to survive, same as you. With everything salvageable packed into carrying bundles, you prepare to leave. The wolves will get what remains, a fair trade for not attacking. Wren keeps his torch burning for the journey back, a precaution against the pack following too closely. As you hike back toward the cave, the weight of bones and antlers straining your shoulders, you spot movement on a ridge to your left. Wren sees it too and signals for a halt. It's not wolves this time, it's humans, another band. They've seen you as well. There's a moment of tension as both groups assess the situation. Strange humans can mean different things in the Stone Age. Potential enemies competing for scarce resources, or potential allies with whom to trade and share knowledge. Wren raises his empty hand in a universal gesture of non-aggression. After a pause, one of the figures on the ridge returns the gesture. "I know them," Wren says, his voice showing relief. "River people, from the Big Bend, good traders." The river people descend from the ridge, 3 men and a woman, all dressed in furs similar to yours, but decorated with distinctive shell patterns sewn into the material. They carry spears, but hold them non-threateningly. Their leader is an older man with a greying beard bound with leather cords. He approaches and speaks. His dialect is different from yours, but similar enough to understand. "Cold hunting," he says simply. Wren nods. "Found reindeer yesterday. Good meat." The basic pleasantries established, both groups relax slightly. The river people are known for their fishing skills and their work with shells and bones. They often travel between several caves along the river valley, following fish runs and gathering materials. "Fish frozen in river bends," the leader says, explaining their presence this far from their usual territory. "Looking for land meat now." This is how information travels in the Stone Age, through chance encounters and brief exchanges. You've just learned that the river is frozen enough to trap fish in isolated pools, which might provide an alternative food source if hunting fails. Tam steps forward unexpectedly, reaching into her pouch. She pulls out several perfectly shaped bone needles, her specialty craft, and offers them to the river people. The woman in their group examines them with obvious appreciation, then reaches for a pouch at her own waist. She extracts several brilliant white shells with natural holes, perfect for stringing as decorative elements. You're witnessing one of the most ancient human practices. Trade, no money, no complex negotiations, just the direct exchange of valued goods. Tam's needles, laboriously ground and polished from specific bird bones, are highly prized for their strength and precision. The shells from the river people come from far downstream, perhaps even from the distant sea, and would be impossible for your band to obtain otherwise. The exchange complete, both groups prepare to continue their separate journeys. But first, the river people leader points to the northwest. Big herd, he says. Many mammoth, 3-day walk. He indicates the direction again with his spear. Ren nods seriously, absorbing this critical information. Mammoths mean abundant meat, hide, and bones, enough to support a band for weeks or months. But they're also incredibly dangerous to hunt, requiring multiple bands working together. When spring grass comes, Ren replies, indicating that your band will join the mammoth hunt once winter releases its grip and the first green appears. With a final gesture of farewell, the two groups part ways. This brief encounter might seem insignificant, but it's part of the complex social web that allows humans to survive. Information about resources, trading of specialized goods, and potential allies for future hunts, all vital currency in the Stone Age economy. As you continue toward home, Tam proudly shows you her new shells. For baby's cradle, she explains. Good spirits in seashells keep baby safe. It's a small glimpse into Stone Age spirituality, the belief that certain objects carry protective power. Not so different from modern superstitions, really. Humans have always sought to control their unpredictable world through symbols and rituals. The conversation shifts to the mammoth herd as you walk. A successful mammoth hunt could transform your band's fortunes, providing enough resources to last until spring plants emerge, but the risk is enormous. Need more hunters, Ren says thoughtfully. Maybe join with cave rock people too. You nod, knowing he's right. Mammoths stand 14 feet tall at the shoulder, with tusks that can impale a human instantly and the strength to crush bones to powder. No single band could hope to take one down. It would require a temporary alliance of several groups, carefully coordinated tactics, and considerable courage. The planning for such a hunt would begin weeks in advance. Bands would send messengers to others in the region. Specialized tools would be prepared. Heavier spears with sturdier points, stone axes for processing the massive carcass. Even the route would need careful consideration, as transporting the spoils back to multiple camps would be a monumental task. As you approach your cave, you see smoke from the fire rising in a straight column against the clear sky. The sight triggers an automatic sense of relief. Home, safety, your people. These instinctive reactions to the signs of shelter and community are burned deep into human psychology, as relevant now as they were 20,000 years ago. Kira spots your returning group first and calls out. Soon, Nima, Lev, and the baby are at the cave entrance as well, eager to see what you've brought back. The bones and antlers are unloaded, and Nima immediately sets to work cracking the largest ones to extract the marrow, a prized delicacy and crucial source of fat in the lean winter months. She uses a technique that requires considerable skill, placing the bone on a flat stone and striking it with precise blows from a stone hammer, creating a clean break that exposes the fatty tissue inside without shattering the valuable bone material. Lev examines the antlers with excitement. Good for new points, he says, already envisioning the tools he'll create. Antler is more flexible than stone, making it perfect for certain types of projectile points and harpoons. Tam shows her shells to Kira, who approves of the trade. The shells will be more than decorative. They'll serve as noisemakers on the baby's cradle, alerting adults if the infant moves suddenly or if something approaches the sleeping child. Function and belief intertwine in almost every Stone Age object. As the day progresses, your band settles into various tasks, all centered around processing yesterday's hunt. Strips of the remaining meat are hung near the fire to smoke, preserving them for future meals. Scraps too small to eat are boiled with crushed bones to make a nutrient-rich broth. The hide is stretched on a frame of branches where it will be scraped clean of flesh and fat using specialized stone tools. You find yourself working alongside Nima, scraping the hide. Her gnarled hands move with practiced efficiency, removing tissue without damaging the valuable skin beneath. This is skilled work. A hide scraped too aggressively will tear and be ruined, too gently and bits of flesh will remain, causing rot. Good hunting, Nima says, breaking the comfortable silence. Band eats 2 more days now. It's a simple statement but carries significant weight. 2 days of guaranteed food means 2 days without the desperate pressure to hunt or gather. 2 days to repair tools, to strengthen the shelter, to rest exhausted bodies. River people say mammoth herd to northwest. You tell her, knowing the elder's perspective will be valuable. Nima's hands pause briefly in their work. Big danger, she says. Big reward. Her eyes take on a distant look, as if seeing across years. Lost 3 hunters last mammoth hunt, 10 winters ago. This is how oral history works. Knowledge passed directly from those who experienced events to the next generation. Nima is your band's living archive, carrying memories of triumphs and tragedies that shaped your people's decisions. Or river is freezing fish in bends, you add, sharing the other piece of information from your encounter. Nima nods thoughtfully. Easier than mammoth. Safer, she demonstrates a jabbing motion. Break ice, spear fish. Women can do this too, not just hunters. It's a practical suggestion. While men typically handle the large game hunting due to greater upper body strength, fishing is equally accessible to all adults in the band. A fishing expedition would allow everyone capable to contribute to food gathering, potentially increasing your odds of success. As the hide scraping continues, Nima begins to hum a rhythmic tune. Soon, her weathered voice carries a melody, a work song passed down through countless generations. The words speak of animals giving themselves to hunters, of gratitude for their sacrifice, of the eternal cycle of life and death. Tam joins in from where she's sorting tendons, her younger voice blending with Nima's cracked tones. Then Kira adds her voice while grinding dried berries into powder. Even Ren and Lev, working on shaping new spear points, murmur the familiar chorus. This spontaneous music-making serves multiple purposes. It transforms repetitive labor into a communal experience. It reinforces cultural bonds and shared identity. And perhaps most importantly, it transmits critical knowledge wrapped in memorable verses. Which plants are safe to eat? How to follow animal migration patterns? Which stones make the best tools? By mid-afternoon, the sky begins to cloud over. Nima studies the gathering grey mass and sniffs the air. Snow coming, she announces. Big snow. Her weather prediction is based on decades of observation. The way the clouds move, subtle changes in air pressure that make her old injuries ache. Even the behaviour of birds earlier in the day. No Doppler radar needed, just finely tuned human senses and accumulated knowledge. The impending storm creates a new urgency around the cave. A severe snowfall could trap the band inside for days, so preparations must be made. Extra firewood is gathered from nearby deadfall. The cave entrance is partially blocked with a windbreak made of branches and hides, leaving just enough space to come and go. Water is collected in birch bark containers and brought inside, saving someone from having to melt snow later. Lev and Ren return from checking nearby traps, small snares set for rabbits and other small game. They've caught nothing, which is disappointing but not surprising. Winter makes all hunting difficult, even for small prey. Tomorrow we try fishing, Ren announces, taking Nima's suggestion seriously. Break river ice. As dusk approaches, the first snowflakes begin to fall, large wet flakes that quickly accumulate on the ground. You've made it back just in time. Within an hour, a full blizzard is raging outside, wind howling past the cave entrance and swirling snow reducing visibility to almost nothing. Inside, your band gathers close to the fire. Tonight's meal is similar to last night's. Reindeer meat, bone marrow, and a handful of dried berries that Nima has been saving for a special occasion. The storm outside makes the cave's shelter feel all the more precious. As darkness settles completely, Lev takes one of the antlers you recovered and begins carefully scraping it with a stone tool, smoothing the surface. In the firelight, his face is intent with concentration. "What are you making?" Tam asks her brother. "Mammoth," he replies simply, continuing to work the antler. Everyone watches with interest as the carving takes shape, a small but recognizable figure of a mammoth emerging from the antler tip. It's surprisingly detailed, with trunk, tusks, and the distinctive humped back all clearly defined. When he's satisfied, Lev passes his creation to Ren, who examines it closely before nodding with approval and passing it to you. The figurine is both art and magic, a representation of the prey your band hopes to hunt when winter ends, a tangible focus for hopes of future abundance. You hand it to Nima, who holds it up to the firelight, turning it this way and that. "Good spirit," she pronounces, then carefully places the mammoth figurine in a small niche in the cave wall, alongside other carved animals and marked stones, your band's simple shrine. Outside, the blizzard continues to rage, but inside the cave, surrounded by your band, you found a moment of security. You have food in your bellies, tools in your hands, and plans for tomorrow. In the Stone Age, that's as close to contentment as humans get. Morning comes, and with it the end of the blizzard. The world outside is transformed, snow piled in smooth, sculpted drifts that completely erase any sign of yesterday's activities. The sky has cleared to a brilliant blue that seems almost painfully bright as sunlight reflects off the fresh snow. Your band emerges from the cave like hibernating animals, blinking in the harsh light. The air is sharp and clean in your lungs, significantly warmer than the previous days. Everyone can feel it, a subtle shift in the season. Not spring yet, not even close, but perhaps the first hint that winter won't last forever. "Fishing day," Ren announces, surveying the new landscape. "Need to find open water." The plan makes sense. After 2 successful days of hunting and processing the reindeer, your band has temporary food security, but it won't last, and the information from the river people about fish trapped in frozen river bends is too valuable to ignore. Besides, the warmer temperature makes an expedition to the river more feasible. Today's group will be different. Almost everyone will go, leaving only Nima behind to tend the fire and watch the baby. Fishing, unlike big game hunting, is a task everyone can participate in, regardless of age or strength. More hands mean more potential food. Preparations are quick and efficient. Ren and Lev gather spears, including specialized fishing spears with barbed points designed to keep slippery prey from sliding off. Kira packs a simple meal of dried meat for everyone to share midday. Tam collects several woven baskets for carrying whatever you might catch. You check that everyone has their fire-starting kits, a standard precaution for any journey away from the cave. The trek to the river is challenging in the deep snow. You walk single file, taking turns breaking trail at the front where the effort is greatest. The forest is eerily silent around you, most animals either hibernating or hunkered down after the storm. Occasionally a branch cracks as snow slides off in a mini avalanche, making everyone jump. Look, Tam says suddenly, pointing to a patch of disturbed snow beneath a large pine. Dark droppings and distinctive tracks tell the story. A deer sheltered here during the storm. Wren examines the tracks. Fresh, very fresh. He scans the surrounding forest, then points. That way. Not far. A silent debate passes through the group. Follow the deer tracks for potential bigger game, or continue to the river as planned. Wren settles it by dividing the party. Lev and I track deer, he says. Rest of you go to river. We meet there. It's a sensible plan that maximizes your chances of finding food. You, Tam, and Kira continue toward the river, while Wren and Lev veer off following the deer tracks. The snow gets shallower as you descend into the river valley, where the trees are more densely packed and have caught much of the snowfall in their branches. The sound of running water reaches you before you see the river, a good sign that at least parts of it remain unfrozen. As you emerge from the tree line, the river comes into view, a sinuous band of grey-blue cutting through the white landscape. Just as the river people described, the waterway is a patchwork of ice and open current. In the bends where the water naturally slows, ice has formed thick enough to walk on, but in the straight, faster-running sections, the river remains stubbornly liquid, steaming slightly in the cold air. Kira points to the nearest bend. Fish get trapped there, between ice parts. You approach the frozen bend cautiously, testing the ice with a spear before committing your full weight. It's reassuringly solid, at least 6 inches thick in most places. The three of you spread out, looking for the best fishing spots. The ideal location is where open water meets ice. Fish tend to congregate in these transition zones, especially when much of their habitat has frozen over. You find a promising spot where a small channel of open water narrows before disappearing under the ice sheet. "Here," you call to the others. "See the shadows?" Dark shapes move sluggishly in the cold water, fish conserving energy, their metabolism slowed by the near-freezing temperature. They're not large, probably no more than a pound each, but there are many of them. The fishing technique is simple but requires patience and a quick hand. You kneel at the edge of the ice, fishing spear poised above the water. When a fish swims within range, you thrust quickly, aiming just ahead of the fish to account for refraction in the water. Your first attempt misses as the fish darts away faster than expected. Your second thrust is more successful. You feel the satisfying resistance as the spear connects, the barbs holding the wriggling fish as you lift it from the water. It's a trout, about as long as your forearm, its speckled flanks flashing in the sunlight. You quickly dispatch it with a stone knife and place it in one of Tam's baskets. First catch of the day. Across the ice, Kira has already caught 2 smaller fish using a different technique. She's broken a small hole in the ice and is dangling a simple gorge hook, a straight piece of bone with a sharpened point at each end, tied in the middle with plant fiber cord. When a fish swallows the baited hook and she pulls the line tight, the gorge turns sideways, lodging in the fish's throat. Tam is trying yet another approach, scooping at the shallows with a loosely woven basket where tiny fish have gathered in the warmer water near the bank. It's less targeted than spearfishing, but can yield dozens of small fry with a single successful scoop. As the morning progresses, a comfortable rhythm develops. The repetitive motions of fishing allow conversation to flow more freely than during the tense concentration of hunting. Kira tells stories about her childhood in another band to the north, where the winters were even harsher, but the summer salmon runs provided enough food to last the year. "My father's people built fish traps in the big river," she explains, demonstrating with her hands how the funnel-shaped structures worked. Fish swim in, can't swim out, sometimes catch hundreds in one day. "Could we build one here?" Tam asks, always eager to learn new skills. Kira shakes her head. Wrong kind of river. Needs shallow, wide place, and many people to gather right wood. This casual exchange of knowledge is how technologies spread in the Stone Age, through stories, demonstrations, and adaptation to local conditions. Without writing, everything must be remembered and passed along verbally, creating a rich oral tradition where practical survival information is often woven into engaging narratives. By midday, your collective catch is impressive. 11 larger fish and perhaps 3 dozen fingerlings, enough for a substantial meal with leftovers to smoke for later. You break for the meal Kira packed, sitting together on a fallen log that's been cleared of snow. As you eat, movement on the opposite bank catches your attention. A fox, its red coat vivid against the snow, watches your group with calculating eyes. It's clearly drawn by the smell of fish, but wary of humans. "Bold one," Kira comments, tossing a tiny fish in the fox's direction. The animal darts forward, snatches the offering, and retreats to a safe distance before gulping it down. For a moment, there's an unspoken connection between species, two predators acknowledging each other's place in the world. The peaceful scene is interrupted by distant shouting. You all turn to see Ren and Lev emerging from the forest upstream, waving and calling excitedly. Between them, they drag a travois made of branches, laden with a dark mass that can only be their kill. They've been successful in their deer hunt, bringing down what appears to be a young buck. Its antlers are small, probably only its second year, but the body is fat and healthy. Combined with your fishing haul, this represents an extraordinary stroke of luck for your band. "Found it drinking," Lev explains breathlessly when they reach you. "Clean kill. 1 spear." The boy is practically glowing with pride. In Stone Age society, providing meat for the band is the most direct way to earn status and respect. Today, Lev has proven his growing skill as a hunter. With the addition of the deer, your band now has a serious transportation challenge. The fish and deer together are too much to carry back to the cave in one trip. After a brief discussion, you decide to process the deer here by the river, taking only the most valuable parts back today and returning tomorrow for the rest. The butchering begins immediately, with all 5 of you working together. It's a well-choreographed dance that everyone knows by heart. One person holds a limb taut while another cuts precisely where muscle meets joint. Someone else collects the blood in a bladder sack, a precious source of nutrition that will be mixed with fat and dried berries to make a kind of primitive sausage. As you work, you notice something odd about the deer. Along its flank is a partly healed wound, not from a predator's claws or teeth, but a distinctive puncture that could only have come from a spear. Someone else hunted this deer, you point out, showing the wound to Ren. He examines it closely and nods. Other band, maybe 5-6 days ago, deer got away. "Are they nearby?" Tam asks, suddenly nervous. Territorial conflicts between bands aren't common, but can be dangerous when resources are scarce. Ren shrugs, maybe moved on, maybe still hunting this area. He gestures to the substantial meat pile you've accumulated. "We have enough now. No need to cross paths." It's a diplomatic answer that acknowledges the potential risk while reassuring everyone. Your band isn't looking for conflict. There's more than enough forest for multiple groups as long as everyone respects traditional hunting grounds. Still, you'll all be a bit more watchful on the journey home. By mid-afternoon, the deer has been efficiently dismantled. The prime cuts of meat, the organs, the brain and tongue, considered delicacies, and most of the fat have been packaged for transport. The remaining meat has been hung high in a tree, out of reach of most scavengers, wrapped in the skin. The head, with its valuable antlers, will be carried back as well. Nothing is wasted. Your band prepares for the return journey, distributing the weight as evenly as possible among the 5 of you. Even Tam carries a substantial load of fish and smaller meat packages. The trek back will be slower and more arduous with these burdens, but no one is complaining. This kind of good fortune, successful fishing and hunting in a single day, might not come again for weeks. As you begin the uphill climb toward the forest, Kira pauses, looking thoughtfully at the river. "Should mark this place," she says. "Good fishing spot." Ren considers, then nods agreement. Using his spear, he makes a distinctive pattern of cuts in the bark of a prominent tree at the forest edge. 3 horizontal lines crossed by a single vertical. It's a simple but effective navigation marker that will help your band find this exact spot again, even after snow melts and the landscape changes. The journey back through the forest is slower than your morning trek, not just because of your burdens, but because everyone is more alert for signs of the other band that wounded the deer. Every snapped twig or distant bird call raises momentary tension. The forest, so peaceful this morning, now seems filled with potential threats. About halfway back to the cave, Lev spots it first, a column of smoke rising above the trees, perhaps half a mile east of your route. Too much smoke for a small campfire, suggesting a larger encampment. Other band, Ren confirms quietly. "We go quiet now. No talking." You proceed in silence, instinctively spreading out a bit more. Harder to ambush 5 scattered people than a tight group. The mood has shifted from triumphant to wary, not fearful exactly, but cautious. When you finally emerge from the forest near your cave, the tension dissolves. The familiar sight of smoke rising from your own hearth where Nima tends the fire is deeply reassuring. You've made it home safely, with enough food to last several days. Nima emerges from the cave, the baby strapped to her chest, and her weathered face breaks into a rare, full smile at the sight of your loaded procession. "Good hunting," she calls. "Good fishing, too." Inside the cave, the unloading and processing begins again. The fire is built up to create both heat and smoke for preserving some of the meat. Fresh fish are skewered on green sticks and propped near the flames for immediate cooking. The deer head is placed in a special niche, its empty eyes staring at the cave wall where generations of hunters have placed similar trophies. As the delicious smell of roasting fish fills the cave, Ren pulls you and Nima aside. "Saw smoke," he says simply. "Other band, not far." Nima's expression grows serious. "How many fires?" "Couldn't see, just one smoke." The old woman considers this information. "Spring coming soon," she says finally. "Maybe mammoth hunters. Come early for big hunt." It's a reasonable theory. The mammoth hunters are a loose coalition of bands that come together seasonally for coordinated hunts of the massive beasts. They're not enemies. Your own band sometimes joins these hunts, but they're not exactly friends either. Relations are complex, governed by ancient traditions of territory and resource sharing. "Should we make contact?" you ask. Nima and Ren exchange a look, having one of those silent conversations that long-associated people can have. "Tomorrow," Ren decides. "Small group, bring gifts, meat and fish enough to share a little." This is how diplomacy works in the Stone Age. Cautious outreach, offering of valuable resources as a goodwill gesture, establishment of mutual interests. It's remarkably similar to modern international relations, just on a much smaller scale. The conversation is interrupted by Tam's excited call. "Fish ready?" Everyone gathers around the fire for the feast. The trout you speared this morning has been cooked to perfection, its flesh flaky and succulent. After months of dried meat and whatever could be foraged from the winter landscape, fresh fish seems like extraordinary luxury. As you eat, the cave fills with conversation and even laughter, a rare sound in the lean winter months when conservation of energy takes precedence over socializing. Lev recounts the deer hunt, his narrative growing more elaborate with each telling. Tam shows off a basket of tiny fish, which Nima is already pounding into a paste that will be mixed with fat and dried for future use. For this moment, life is good. Your band has food, shelter, and relative safety. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. The diplomatic mission to the other band, retrieving the rest of the deer carcass, continuing the endless work of survival. But tonight, warmed by the fire and with full bellies, you allow yourselves the rare pleasure of simply being. Kira begins to sing softly as she nurses the baby, a melody that rises and falls like the river currents. One by one, other voices join in, Tam's clear notes, Lev's deeper tones, Nima's crackling but precise rhythm. Even Ren, usually stoic, adds his voice to the harmony. The song has no words, just vocalized sounds that mimic birds, wind, water, and heartbeats. It's ancient music, possibly unchanged for thousands of years, binding your small band together in sound as you're bound by necessity and kinship. Outside, the short winter day is already fading into dusk, another night in the endless cycle of darkness and light, cold and warmth, hunger and satiation. But inside the cave, illuminated by firelight that flickers on the ancient walls, your band has carved out a moment of contentment in a harsh world. Dawn breaks with a dusting of fresh snow, just enough to coat the ground with a thin white veil. The temperature has risen again, noticeably warmer than previous days. You can feel the subtle change in season in your bones, the way your breath no longer freezes instantly in front of your face. Today brings the diplomatic mission to the neighbouring band. After yesterday's meal, Ren selected who would go, himself, you, and surprisingly, Nima. The elder's inclusion makes sense upon reflection. Her age commands respect, and she carries the band's history in her memory. If these are, indeed, mammoth hunters returning for the spring hunt, Nima would remember past interactions, alliances, and conflicts. Preparations are meticulous. From your precious food stores, small portions are set aside as gifts, a gesture of goodwill and prosperity. A few strips of the deer meat, 2 of the larger fish, and a small pouch of Nima's special herb mixture that helps preserve meat. Not enough to deplete your own resources, but significant enough to show respect. Personal appearance matters too. Ren uses a mixture of deer fat and red ochre to paint simple lines across his cheekbones. Not mere decoration, but symbols of his status as a hunter. Nima brushes and rebraids her long grey hair, weaving in several small shells from the band's treasured collection. You clean your face with snow and straighten your fur clothing as best you can. Remember, Nima says as you prepare to leave, speak little, listen much. It's good advice for any diplomatic encounter, as relevant today as it was 20,000 years ago. The 3 of you set out following the direction of the smoke spotted yesterday. Without heavy loads to carry, you move quickly through the forest. Ren leads, followed by you, with Nima bringing up the rear at a slower but steady pace. The approach to another band's territory requires careful protocol. No sneaking or hiding, that would appear threatening, but also no sudden appearance. When you're about a quarter mile from where you estimate their camp to be, Ren begins to deliberately snap twigs underfoot and occasionally call out a universal greeting sound. The message is clear. We are coming. We are not hiding. We are not hunting you. After about 10 minutes of this noisy approach, a response comes, a similar call, signalling acknowledgement. Shortly after, 2 figures appear between the trees ahead. Both are men, both carry spears, held non-aggressively but ready. Both watch your approach with cautious eyes. "Greetings," Ren calls in your language, then repeats the word in 2 other dialects. Communication between bands can be challenging as language shifts subtly across regions. Greetings, one of the men responds, using a dialect similar to yours but with a distinctive accent. You are cave people? Ren nods. From the High Ridge Caves. We bring gifts. He gestures to the packages you carry. A quick glance passes between the 2 men, then the speaker nods. Come, meet our leader. They turn and lead you through the trees. Soon a clearing comes into view, where a temporary camp has been established. Unlike your cave shelter, this band has constructed several simple huts, dome-shaped structures made from bent saplings covered with hides and bark. A large central fire burns in the middle of the camp, with smaller fires near individual huts. Around 15 people move about the camp, engaged in various tasks. They pause as your small group enters, watching with the universal wariness of humans encountering strangers. Several children dart behind adults, peering out with curious eyes. You're led to the largest hut, where a man sits on a log working a piece of ivory with focused attention. He looks up as you approach, a powerfully built individual, perhaps in his 40s, with a distinctive scar across his nose and one milky blind eye. Despite this impairment, his good eye assesses your group with sharp intelligence. I am Coda, he says simply, setting aside his work. Leader of mammoth hunters. Nima's quiet theory was correct. These are indeed the seasonal mammoth hunting specialists, arriving earlier than usual this year. Ren introduces your group, then formally presents the gifts you've brought. Coda accepts them with appropriate ceremony, examining each item before passing them to a woman who appears to be his mate. Sit, Coda invites, gesturing to several logs arranged around his fire. Share our heat. The formal welcome complete, the atmosphere relaxes slightly. Other members of the mammoth hunters gradually draw closer, some sitting within earshot, others continuing their tasks while watching your interaction. Nima speaks for the first time, her voice carrying the weight of her years. The mammoth hunters come early this season. Coda nods, gesturing toward the sky. Weather changes. Great beasts move north earlier. We follow. This is valuable information. The mammoth herds are already migrating, responding to the shifting season. For Stone Age humans, tracking these migrations is literally a matter of life and death. Have you seen the herd? Ren asks. 3 days ago, many animals, many young ones too. Coda makes a sweeping gesture with his hands, indicating a substantial number. We prepare for great hunt in 7 days, when moon is half. The implication is clear. This is an invitation for your band to join in the mammoth hunt. Such cooperative ventures are essential, as no single band has enough hunters to bring down the enormous beasts safely. Nima nods thoughtfully. Our band will come. 5 hunters. This is a slight exaggeration. Your band really only has 3 fully capable hunters plus Tam, who's still learning, but it's a common negotiating tactic. Bands that contribute more hunters receive larger shares of the kill. Conversation flows more easily now that the purpose of the mammoth hunter's presence is established. Coda explains they've travelled from far to the east, following the mammoth herd through the winter. His band specialises in mammoth hunting, possessing specialised knowledge and tools for taking down the massive creatures. Show them, Coda says to a younger man nearby. The man retrieves a spear unlike any you've seen before. It's longer and heavier than a standard hunting spear, with a distinctive split point made of mammoth ivory itself, a poetic touch using the beast's own material to hunt it. The split design causes the spear to lodge more firmly in thick mammoth hide, preventing the animal from easily dislodging it. We bring 20 such spears, Coda says, with justifiable pride. Made through winter moons. The craftsmanship is exceptional, representing hundreds of hours of skilled labor. This is the mammoth hunter's contribution to the cooperative venture, specialized tools and knowledge that other bands lack. As the diplomatic discussion continues, you take the opportunity to observe the camp more closely. The mammoth hunters clearly have a different lifestyle than your cave-dwelling band. Their portable shelters indicate a more nomadic existence, following game rather than establishing a home territory. Their clothing shows subtle differences too, more elaborate decoration, with geometric patterns sewn into the fur garments using dyed sinew thread. Several women work at the edge of the camp, scraping and treating fresh hides, evidence of recent successful hunts. Children play a game involving small bone pieces, occasionally erupting in laughter that sounds the same as children anywhere, anytime. One thing particularly catches your eye: a mammoth tusk propped against Coda's hut, partially carved with an intricate spiral pattern. It's not merely decorative. The spirals appear to record something. Looking closer, you realize they might represent the movement of the moon through its phases, or perhaps the migration route of the mammoth herds. It's a proto-writing system, a way of recording information outside of human memory. Your observation of camp life is interrupted when Coda addresses you directly. "You have seen river people recently?" The question feels casual but carries weight. Bands keep track of each other's movements, forming a mental map of who is where and doing what. Information is currency in the Stone Age. "3 days ago," you respond. "Hunting on our territory, said river too frozen for fish." Coda absorbs this information with a nod. "And dark mountain people?" You look to Nima, who would know of this other band. She shakes her head. "Not since full moon before last. They moved south, we think." This exchange of information continues, casual seeming, but actually a sophisticated intelligence network that helps each band navigate territories, resources, and potential conflicts. By the end, both groups have a clearer picture of the human landscape around them. As the conversation winds down, Coda makes a gesture and a young woman approaches with a small package wrapped in birch bark. He presents it to Nima with formal words, "For your band's joining of the mammoth hunt." Nima unwraps it carefully to reveal several pieces of amber, the golden fossilized tree resin that's highly prized for its beauty and spiritual associations. It's a generous gift, acknowledging the importance of your band's participation in the upcoming hunt. With the diplomatic mission successful, your small group prepares to leave. Formal farewells are exchanged with promises to meet again in 7 days for the hunt preparations. As you turn to go, one of the mammoth hunter women approaches Nima and speaks quietly to her. The elder listens, then nods and responds in equally hushed tones. Once you're back in the forest, heading toward your cave, you ask Nima about the exchange. "Their healer," Nima explains. "She has seen sickness in a child, asked for dreambark tea. She pats a small pouch at her waist. I will prepare and bring tomorrow." This simple interaction reveals another aspect of interband relations, the sharing of specialized knowledge and medicine. Nima's reputation as a healer extends beyond your own band, and such exchanges build goodwill that might prove crucial for survival later. The walk back to your cave seems shorter, your steps lighter with the success of the mission. The diplomatic contact has gone well, providing valuable information about the mammoth herd's movements and securing your band's place in the upcoming hunt. If successful, that hunt could yield enough meat, fat, and materials to see your band comfortably through the lean months until spring fully arrives. As your cave comes into view, you see activity outside. Kira and Tam appear to be constructing something in the clearing, while Lev practices with his spear thrower at a target of bundled grass. Drawing closer, you realize the women are building a simple smoke rack. a framework of green branches designed to hold meat strips over a smouldering fire. The process preserves meat by slowly drying it while infusing it with smoke compounds that prevent spoilage. Preparing for mammoth meat, you ask? Approaching them, Kira looks up with a smile. Ren said to be ready. Was the meeting good? Very good, Ren confirms. They have seen the herd. Many animals hunt in 7 days. This news energizes everyone. A successful mammoth hunt means not just immediate food security, but the ability to create stockpiles for future lean times. The massive beasts provide hundreds of pounds of meat and fat, plus hide, bone, ivory, and sinew in quantities that smaller game simply can't match. Lev immediately begins peppering Ren with questions about the mammoth hunters' special spears, while Tam asks you about their camp and people. The teenager's interest isn't just curiosity. In the fluid social structure of Stone Age bands, young adults sometimes move between groups, bringing fresh blood and skills to prevent inbreeding and spread technological innovations. Nima heads straight into the cave, likely to begin preparing the medicinal tea she promised the mammoth hunter's healer. Her knowledge of plants and their properties is vast, built over decades of observation, experimentation, and learning from other healers. Without writing, all this information exists only in her memory, making her one of the band's most valuable members. Inside the cave, you find her already sorting through her medicine bundles, small packages of dried plants, fungi, minerals, and animal parts, each with specific healing properties. She selects several types of bark and a few dried berries, then begins grinding them together using a smooth riverstone as a mortar and a smaller stone as a pestle. What is dreambark tea, you ask, watching her work. For fever dreams, she explains, not looking up from her grinding. When sickness makes the mind wander and see things not there, she indicates one of the bark types. This cools the blood, this other brings gentle sleep. It's fascinating to watch her work. Modern medicine, with its understanding of molecules and biochemistry, would recognize that some of these plant compounds contain genuine medicinal properties. Salicylates, similar to aspirin, natural antibiotics, anti-inflammatory agents. Nima doesn't understand the chemistry, but she knows what works through generations of careful observation. As evening approaches, the band gathers by the fire outside the cave. The weather remains mild enough to enjoy the open air, a welcome change after days confined by bitter cold. Ren has decided that tonight is the time to begin preparations for the mammoth hunt, as there's much to be ready. Need proper spears, he explains, laying out several spear shafts of different woods and weights. Mammoth hide is thick. Regular hunting spears break too easily. Under his direction, you begin to modify your existing weapons. The stone points must be larger, the binding between point and shaft reinforced with extra layers of sinew and resin. The shaft itself needs to be the right balance of flexibility and strength, rigid enough to penetrate deep on impact, but with enough give to absorb some of the massive shock without shattering. It's precise technical work that draws on generations of accumulated knowledge. No one alive today invented these methods. They've been passed down, refined, adapted through countless hunts. Each band contributes their specialized expertise to the communal hunt. The mammoth hunters with their split-point ivory spears, your band with your finely knapped stone points, other bands with their own innovations. As you work, Lev asks Ren about his first mammoth hunt, providing the opening for a story that clearly has been told many times before. Ren sets aside the binding he's working on and assumes the posture of a storyteller, back straight, hands ready to gesture, voice shifting to a more rhythmic cadence. It was the season of yellow leaves, he begins, using the Stone Age way of marking time by natural events rather than calendar dates. I had seen 14 summers, was eager to prove myself as a hunter. The familiar story unfolds, how the young wren joined a massive hunt involving 6 different bands, how he was assigned to the dangerous runner position, tasked with darting in to spear the mammoth's leg tendons while others distracted the great beast from the front. He describes the enormous animal's trumpeting rage, the ground shaking with each step, the heart-stopping moment when it turned and charged directly at him. Though you've heard the tale before, it never loses its power. Wren is a natural storyteller, using his voice and body to bring the hunt to life. The children, even having heard it many times, sit wide-eyed and rapt. This is not mere entertainment. It's education, preparation for the hunt to come, transmission of vital knowledge wrapped in narrative. When the story concludes with the triumphant bringing down of the mammoth, everyone is quiet for a moment, as if collectively catching their breath. Then Nima speaks from where she sits, completing her medicine preparation. "The mammoth gives itself," she says, her old voice carrying easily in the still evening air. "We honor the gift with our respect. We use all parts. We waste nothing. This is the ancient way." Her words are a reminder of the spiritual dimension of the hunt, the belief that animals offer themselves willingly to respectful hunters, that there's a sacred covenant between predator and prey. Modern minds might see this as mere superstition, but for Stone Age humans, it's a vital framework that prevents overhunting and ensures sustainable use of resources. As darkness falls completely, the fire is built up one final time for the night. The sky above is clear and brilliant with stars, the same stars your ancestors watched, the same patterns they used for navigation and timekeeping. The Milky Way stretches across the darkness like a river of light, what your people call the spirit path, where the souls of the dead travel. Tomorrow will bring more preparations, checking and double-checking weapons, discussing hunting strategies, perhaps another visit to the mammoth hunters to coordinate plans. But tonight, surrounded by your band in the firelight, with full bellies and the promise of the mammoth hunt ahead, there's a rare moment of peace. As you settle onto your sleeping furs inside the cave, you can hear Kira softly singing to the baby, a lullaby probably as old as language itself. The fire pops and crackles, casting dancing shadows on the ancient walls. Outside, an owl calls into the night, its voice echoing through the forest. These are the sounds that have accompanied humans to sleep for thousands upon thousands of years. Morning comes with a strange heaviness in the air, warmer still, but damp, with low clouds hugging the treetops. Nima takes one look at the sky and makes her pronouncement, "Rain coming, snow will melt." It's a significant prediction. Rain in late winter means the true seasonal change is imminent. Snowmelt will swell the rivers, alter hunting grounds, and eventually reveal the first green shoots of spring plants. For bands living close to the edge of survival, these transitions require careful planning. Today's agenda changes in response to the weather forecast. The most pressing task becomes securing anything that might be damaged by water, particularly the partially processed hides stretched on frames outside the cave. These are moved to the shelter of an overhanging rock ledge. Food stored in pits needs to be checked and possibly relocated if those pits might flood. Nima completes her preparation of the medicinal tea, wrapping the mixture carefully in a birch bark package. "Must go to mammoth hunters today," she says, before rain. Wren considers who should accompany her. The diplomatic relationship with the neighbouring band is still new and fragile, requiring proper protocol. "I will go," he decides, then looks at you. "And you too." Kira and Lev stay to prepare hunting tools. It's a sensible division of labour. The three of you set out after a quick breakfast, moving at a pace that accommodates Nima's older joints, but with a certain urgency to beat the coming rain. The forest feels different today, expectant, waiting. The birds sense the changing season too, their calls more frequent and varied than the sparse winter sounds of previous days. Occasionally, droplets fall from the trees, precursors to the main rainfall to come. When you reach the mammoth hunters' camp, you find it bustling with activity. Like your own band, they're preparing for the coming rain, securing items and adjusting shelter coverings. Coda greets you with less formality than yesterday, a sign that relations are normalizing. "Brought medicine," Nima says directly, presenting the package to the band's healer, a middle-aged woman with intricate tattoos running down her forearms marking her special status. The healer accepts the gift with evident gratitude, then leads Nima toward one of the smaller huts. The two women duck inside, leaving you and Ren with Coda. "Come," the mammoth hunter's leader says, gesturing toward the central fire. "Show you hunt plan." This is what Ren had hoped for, a chance to discuss the mammoth hunt strategy in detail. At the fire, Coda has created a simple map on the ground, using sticks to represent the landscape features, small stones for the mammoth herd, and bone pieces for the different hunting bands. "Valley here," he explains, pointing to a depression between two stick ridges. "Mammoths follow river through valley, narrow at this end." He indicates a constriction in his model. The hunting strategy begins to take shape through his explanation. 4 bands will position themselves at the valley's narrow end. 2 more bands, including yours, will circle behind the herd and drive them forward with noise, fire, and strategic spear throws aimed not to kill, but to direct movement. It's a sophisticated plan that requires precise timing and coordination. If executed correctly, it will funnel the mammoths into the narrowest part of the valley, where the waiting hunters have the best chance of bringing down several animals with minimal risk. "How many mammoths in herd?" Ren asks, always practical. 20, maybe 25, Coda responds. "Many females, young ones. 2 big males with long tusks." This detail is important. Male mammoths, particularly the larger, older ones, are more dangerous but also provide more meat and better ivory. Females travel with their young, making them both more vulnerable and more unpredictable if they feel their calves are threatened. The discussion continues, delving into the specifics of positioning, signals to be used between hunting groups, and contingency plans if the mammoths break in unexpected directions. It's remarkably sophisticated strategic planning, drawing on centuries of collective hunting experience. While the men talk, you notice activity around the camp that reveals more about the mammoth hunters' culture. Several women work at scraping large hides, mammoth skin from previous hunts. To judge by the enormous size, the thickness of the hide requires specialized tools, including scrapers made from mammoth leg bones with sharp stone flakes inserted along the edge. Children dart between the huts, engaged in what appears to be a game, but serves as training for future hunts. They take turns playing mammoth and hunters, practicing encirclement tactics and coordination through play. It's learning disguised as fun, ensuring the next generation absorbs crucial survival skills. Your observations are interrupted when Nima emerges from the healer's hut, her expression satisfied. The mammoth hunter's healer follows, carrying a small child about 3 years old. The improvement in the child is visible, whereas yesterday, according to Nima's later description, the little girl had been feverish and listless. Today she's alert, her eyes bright, though her face still thin from illness. The child's mother approaches Nima and presses something into her hands, a small carved figurine of a woman with exaggerated features. It's a fertility symbol, valuable both spiritually and artistically. Nima accepts it with appropriate ceremony, tucking it carefully into her medicine pouch. This exchange cements the growing alliance between your band and the mammoth hunters. Medicine shared, knowledge exchanged, and now a valued artifact gifted. These are the bonds that help ensure mutual support in the unpredictable world of the Stone Age. With the diplomatic and planning mission complete, your small group prepares to return to your cave. The first real raindrops are beginning to fall as you say your farewells, promising to meet again in 6 days for the final hunt preparations. The walk back through the forest is wet and increasingly uncomfortable. The rain falls steadily now, soaking through your fur clothing despite its natural water resistance. By the time you reach the cave, you're all thoroughly drenched and chilled. Inside, the fire has been built up to a welcoming blaze. Kira has prepared hot bone broth, which you gratefully accept in birch bark containers. The simple liquid warms you from inside, its rich flavor and high fat content exactly what your body needs after the cold soaking. While you were gone, the others have been productive. Lev proudly shows off his work. 3 hunting spears modified to Ren's specifications for mammoth hunting, their points larger and binding reinforced. Tam and Kira have prepared travel food, strips of meat mixed with rendered fat and dried berries, pounded into a compact, energy-dense form that will sustain hunters during the expedition. As the day progresses into evening, the rain continues unabated. The sound of water dripping at the cave entrance creates a rhythmic backdrop to your activities. Occasionally, a stronger gust of wind drives rain deeper into the entrance, causing a momentary sizzle as droplets hit the fire. The weather confines everyone to the cave, creating an opportunity for activities often neglected during the constant pressure of food acquisition. Tam takes advantage of the enforced indoor time to work on a special project, decorating a baby carrier made from bent wood and leather. She uses bone needles of her own making to punch tiny holes along the leather edges, then threads sinew cord through in complex patterns. With natural pigments, red ochre, charcoal black, yellow clay, she adds simple geometric designs. The carrier is both functional and beautiful, an expression of human creativity that transcends mere survival. Nima sorts through her medicine bundles, taking inventory and replacing worn wrappings. Her knowledge is vast but specific to your region. Which fungi reduce inflammation, which barks can lower fever, which roots will cause vomiting to expel poisons. Some of her remedies would be recognized by modern pharmacology as genuinely effective. Others work primarily through ritual and belief. To Nima, there's no distinction. Medicine, magic, and meaning are intertwined. Ren and Lev sit near the cave entrance, watching the rain while working on tool maintenance. Hunting weapons require constant attention. Bindings need tightening. Stone edges require resharpening. Wooden shafts must be checked for cracks or warping. As they work, Ren quietly passes on knowledge, showing Lev how to test a spear's balance, how to recognize flaws in the material before they become catastrophic failures during a hunt. The baby, content after nursing, lies on a soft fur watching the cave ceiling with unfocused eyes. Kira has tied small bundles of feathers and hollow bone pieces above the child's sleeping place. They move slightly in the air currents, creating visual stimulation and soft clicking sounds that capture the infant's attention. It's a primitive mobile but serves the same developmental purpose as its modern equivalent. As evening deepens into true night, the rain finally begins to slacken. A change comes over the group's energy. The relaxed, drowsy atmosphere of the day shifts towards something more ceremonial. Without explicit discussion, everyone seems to recognize that tonight is appropriate for more than just practical work. Nima reaches into a special niche in the cave wall and removes a small bundle wrapped in soft leather. Unwrapping it reveals several small bone flutes, delicately carved from bird bones with precisely placed finger holes. She selects one and hands it to Tam, takes another for herself, and offers a third to you. Ren produces a simple drum made from stretched hide over a wooden frame. Even the baby seems to sense the shift, growing quiet and watchful as the instruments appear. The music begins softly, Nima's flute carrying a simple, haunting melody that feels as ancient as the cave itself. Tam joins in, her notes weaving around her elders with practiced harmony. The drum adds rhythm, Ren's hands finding a heartbeat-like pattern that seems to match the dripping of the rain outside. You raise your own flute, finding the notes through muscle memory rather than conscious thought. The song requires no written notation. It lives in the band's collective memory, passed down through countless generations of ears and fingers. The music fills the cave, bouncing off stone walls that have heard similar sounds for thousands of years. It's both structured and improvised, with core melodies everyone knows but room for individual expression. Sometimes the tempo increases, driving and urgent. Other times it slows to a meditative pace that seems to stretch time itself. As the music continues, Kira begins to dance, the baby secured safely in a sling across her chest. Her movements are fluid and storytelling, imitating animals, weather patterns, hunting motions. The dance isn't merely entertainment, but another form of knowledge transmission, embodying the movements and behaviors that the band needs to understand for survival. Lev joins the dancing, his adolescent movements more energetic but less refined. Together, mother and son enact what appears to be the story of a hunt, their shadows cast huge and flickering on the cave walls by the firelight. The entire scene, the music, the dance, the firelight, the cave, creates a profound connection across time. These same activities in spaces much like this have been part of human experience for tens of thousands of years. The specific melodies and movements might differ across cultures and eras, but the fundamental human need to create beauty, meaning, and community through art remains constant. Gradually, the music shifts to something slower, more hypnotic. Nima begins to chant in a low voice, words that sound ancient even to Stone Age ears. It's a prayer song, addressing the spirits of animals, weather, and ancestors. She sways slightly as she chants, her eyes half closed, her wrinkled face transformed by the flickering light. This is the spiritual dimension of Stone Age life, not organized religion with dogma and hierarchies, but a direct, experiential connection to the mysteries of existence. In a world where survival is never guaranteed, where natural forces can bring abundance or destruction without warning, humans seek meaning and agency through ritual. As Nima chants, she removes the fertility figurine given to her by the mammoth hunters. She holds it up to the firelight, turning it slowly so everyone can see. Then, with deliberate movements, she places it in a small niche in the cave wall, joining dozens of similar figures, animal carvings, and painted symbols created and placed by your band and those who used this cave before you. The ritual complete, the music gradually winds down. The energy in the cave shifts again, this time toward the quieter rhythms of approaching sleep. Furs are arranged, the fire banked to provide warmth through the night without requiring constant attention. The rain has stopped completely outside, leaving only the occasional drip from saturated trees. Tomorrow will bring new tasks, checking how the rain has transformed the landscape, perhaps hunting in areas where animals will be on the move after the weather change. The mammoth hunt preparations will continue, increasing in intensity as the appointed day approaches. But tonight, as you settle onto your sleeping place, there's a sense of connection that transcends the daily struggle for survival. The music and ritual have renewed something essential. The bonds between band members, the links to ancestors and future generations, the relationship with the natural and spiritual worlds that frame Stone Age existence. Sleep comes easily, your dreams filled with mammoth shadows, flute melodies, and the ancient rhythms of a life both unimaginably different from and fundamentally similar to that of modern humans. The days following the rain bring dramatic changes to the landscape. The snow melts rapidly, transforming the forest floor from pristine white to a patchwork of brown earth, decaying leaves, and occasional stubborn snow drifts in shaded areas. Streams that were frozen solid now gurgle with fresh meltwater. The air carries a different scent: damp soil, growth, possibility. Dawn comes earlier each day. You notice it without thinking, your body's internal rhythms syncing with the gradually shifting balance of light and dark. No clocks or calendars mark these changes for Stone Age humans, just the intimate bodily knowledge of seasonal patterns built through observation and experience. With 5 days remaining before the mammoth hunt, your band settles into a rhythm of preparation and resource gathering. The changing conditions create new opportunities. Ren and Lev discover a beaver dam on a newly thawed stream and set snares nearby. Beaver fur is valued for its waterproof qualities, the meat is rich and fatty, and the distinctive incisors make excellent carving tools. Tam spots the season's first returning birds, small, quick creatures that feed on emerging insects. She fashions a lightweight throwing stick and manages to bring down 2 of them. Though small, the birds provide welcome variety to the band's diet. Their meat, a different flavour and texture from the monotonous winter fare. Kira, always thinking ahead, begins gathering birch bark from trees damaged by winter storms. The material is waterproof, flexible, and perfect for creating containers that will be needed for carrying water and storing food during the upcoming mammoth hunt expedition. Inside the cave, Nima works on what might be her most important contribution to the hunt: protective amulets. Using small scraps of leather, she creates pouches filled with special combinations of herbs, minerals, and animal parts. Each is decorated with simple marks made with earth pigments, symbols whose meanings have been passed down through countless generations. For safe hunting, she explains as she hands you one of the completed amulets. Wear around neck, keep mammoth spirit from becoming angry. You accept it with appropriate reverence. Modern minds might dismiss such items as superstition, but in the Stone Age, the line between practical action and spiritual protection is non-existent. The amulet is simultaneously religious object, psychological comfort, and social bond. Wearing it connects you to the band's collective strength and wisdom. The afternoon brings a new task. With the ground softening from the melt, it's the perfect time to dig for certain routes that were inaccessible during the frozen months. The entire band participates, spreading out along the forest edge where specific plants are known to grow. The digging tools are simple but effective: sharpened sticks hardened in fire, bone scoops for clearing soil, stone scrapers for cleaning the harvested roots. Everyone works steadily, their movements efficient from years of practice. Even the youngest members have roles. Tam supervises the baby, secured in its decorated carrier hanging from a tree branch while gathering smaller roots that require less digging. These roots, some resembling modern turnips, others more like thin, tangled carrots, are starchy staples that will provide energy for the upcoming hunt. Some will be eaten immediately, others dried and pounded into flour-like powder for storage. They're not delicious by modern standards. Fibrous, somewhat bitter, requiring considerable chewing, but they're reliable calories at a time when the band needs them most. As you dig, your fingers occasionally encounter other treasures. Earthworms that will be used as fishing bait, small crystals that Nima collects for her medicine pouch, clay deposits that can be gathered for pottery and pigments. Nothing goes unnoticed or unused. The work creates a natural opportunity for conversation, the kind of casual knowledge sharing that forms the foundation of Stone Age education. Nima identifies different plants emerging from the softening soil, pointing out which are edible, which medicinal, which poisonous. Wren spots animal tracks in the mud and explains what they reveal about the creature's size, speed, and purpose. Deer walking slow, he says, indicating a set of sharp hoof prints. Not running from anything. Good sign. It's a simple observation, but contains layers of useful information. Prey animals are returning to the area, they're not currently stressed by predator pressure, and hunting opportunities will likely improve in the coming days. By late afternoon, the root gathering is complete. Everyone returns to the cave laden with their findings, tired but satisfied with the day's productivity. The changing season is bringing renewed energy to the band, a gradual shift from winter's conservation mode to spring's more active patterns. Evening brings another important preparation for the mammoth hunt, storytelling. After the meal, when the fire burns low and shadows lengthen against the cave walls, Nima takes on her role as the band's memory keeper. The elders of participating bands always share mammoth hunting stories before a major expedition, ensuring that all hunters, especially younger ones, understand the techniques, dangers, and protocols. Long ago, she begins, her voice taking on a rhythmic quality that signals formal storytelling. When my mother's mother was a young woman, there came a great hunt at the place of 2 rivers. What follows is a detailed account of a mammoth hunt from perhaps 50 years earlier. Nima describes the specific strategy used, how the hunters positioned themselves, which approaches worked and which failed. She recounts how one hunter was killed when a wounded mammoth charged unexpectedly, and how the bands adapted their tactics afterward. Though she wasn't present for these events, her telling contains vivid details: the sound of mammoth feet on frozen ground, the smell of their dung, the taste of liver eaten fresh from the kill. These sensory elements make the story memorable, helping it stick in the minds of listeners who might need to recall critical details during the actual hunt. The story isn't just practical instruction, though. Woven throughout are elements of the band's spiritual beliefs, how the mammoth spirits must be respected, which rituals ensure a successful hunt, what offerings should be made afterward. Again, the practical and spiritual aspects of Stone Age life are inseparable, each reinforcing the other. As Nima's story winds down, Wren picks up the narrative thread, contributing a more recent experience from a hunt he participated in as a young man. His telling is different, more focused on action, with expansive gestures mimicking spear throws and charging beasts. The dual narratives provide complementary perspectives, ensuring comprehensive knowledge transfer. You notice that Lev is especially attentive during these stories. The upcoming hunt will be his first encounter with mammoths, and a successful performance could mark his full transition to adult hunter status. He asks several questions about spear placement and escape tactics, his usual teenage bravado tempered by appropriate caution. Night settles fully around the cave. Outside, a nearly full moon illuminates the landscape, casting silver light on the patches of remaining snow. The sounds of the forest have changed with the season. Fewer wolf howls, more owl calls, and the occasional splash from the stream where nocturnal creatures drink. Inside, the fire burns down to glowing embers that provide gentle warmth without the active flames needed on colder nights. The band begins to settle for sleep, arranging furs and finding comfortable positions on the cave floor. There's a peaceful quality to this nightly routine. Bodies finding their accustomed places, quiet murmurs as final thoughts are shared, the collective slowing of breath as consciousness fades. Sleep doesn't come immediately for you, though. Your mind is active with thoughts of the upcoming hunt, mentally rehearsing movements and scenarios based on the stories shared earlier. This kind of visualization is a natural human behavior, as relevant in the Stone Age as it is for modern athletes or performers preparing for important events. From your sleeping place, you can see a portion of the night sky through the cave entrance. The stars are brilliant against the black backdrop, arranged in patterns your people have named and used for navigation and timekeeping for countless generations. That bright cluster is the mammoth's eye. The 3 stars in a row are the hunter's spear. Each has stories attached, explanations for how they came to be placed in the sky, what their movements mean for humans below. Your gaze shifts to the cave walls, where generations of your band and those before have left their marks. In the dim light, you can just make out the painted outlines of animals, handprints pressed against stone, abstract swirls and dots whose meanings have been lost to time. Some are purely decorative, others record events or visions, still others serve as teaching tools for hunting techniques or animal behavior. These images connect you to the past and future simultaneously, to ancestors who sought the same shelter and created the first marks, to descendants who will add their own contributions long after you're gone. The cave is both home and archive, a physical space that contains your band's collective identity and history. As your thoughts drift, you become aware of the sleeping bodies around you, Nima's soft, elderly snoring, the baby's quick, light breaths, Ren's deeper, slower rhythm. These are the people who form your world, your entire social universe. In the Stone Age, the band is everything. Family, school, government, religious institution, economic unit, all wrapped into one small, interdependent group. Modern humans might find this intense social proximity suffocating, the lack of privacy and constant interdependence too constraining. But for Stone Age humans, the band's closeness is security and comfort. To be alone is to be vulnerable. To be part of the group is to survive. Your thoughts turn to the mammoth hunters and the coming cooperative hunt. It's remarkable, really. Bands that maintain separate territories and identities throughout most of the year, coming together for mutual benefit in a complex, coordinated effort. This capacity for flexible social organization, for forming larger groups when necessary while maintaining smaller, more intimate bands for daily life, is one of humanity's great adaptive strengths. Outside, an owl calls, its haunting voice echoing through the night. Another answers from farther away. The sound triggers a memory of something Nima once said, that owls carry messages between the living and the dead, their ability to see in darkness making them perfect messengers to the spirit world. You wonder if they're carrying words from your band's ancestors now, perhaps offering guidance for the hunt to come. The thought isn't frightening, but comforting. In the Stone Age worldview, the ancestors remain present and involved, their wisdom accessible through dreams, visions, and natural signs. Death is a transition, not an ending. Those who have passed continue to exist in another realm that occasionally intersects with the world of the living. Your eyelids grow heavy as these thoughts swirl and merge. The physical exhaustion of the day's work combines with the mental stimulation of the evening's stories, creating the perfect conditions for deep sleep. Your breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the sleeping band around you. In these last moments before consciousness fades, your mind makes connections that your waking self might miss between the curved tusk of the mammoth figurine and the crescent moon outside, between the rhythm of Nima's storytelling and the beating of your own heart, between the ancient paintings on the cave wall and the images that will soon populate your dreams. This twilight state between waking and sleeping would be familiar to humans across time, that floating liminal space where thoughts become less linear, where boundaries between self and world grow permeable. But for Stone Age humans, without artificial light to extend the day or stimulants to delay rest, this transition would be a more regular, ritualized experience, aligned with the natural cycles of daylight and darkness. As sleep finally claims you, your last sensation is of profound connection to your band, to the earth beneath the cave floor, to the animals whose lives sustain yours, to the ancestors whose knowledge guides you, to the unborn generations who will follow. It's a feeling modern humans glimpse only occasionally in rare moments of transcendence or belonging. In the Stone Age, that connection isn't exceptional but fundamental, the baseline of human experience, the web that holds individual lives within the greater patterns of existence. There is hardship, yes, and constant struggle for survival, but there is also a groundedness, a belonging that many modern humans spend their lives seeking. The hunt will come with all its danger and promise. The seasons will turn, bringing new challenges and opportunities. Babies will be born, elders will pass on, and the great wheel of life will continue its eternal rotation. Your small band will play its part in the vast, complex dance of existence, adding its unique thread to the tapestry of human history. For now, though, there is just this moment, the warm furs against your skin, the soft breathing of your band, the gentle glow of embers, the ancient stone sheltering you from the night. Your body relaxes completely, surrendering to sleep's embrace. Your mind, so active with planning and remembering throughout the day, finally grows quiet. And with that quieting comes peace. Not the peace of perfect safety or abundance, which Stone Age humans rarely knew, but the deeper peace of living in harmony with natural rhythms, of knowing your place in the greater order, of being fully present in your existence. As you drift into dreams, perhaps of mammoth hunts or starry skies or roots pushing through softening earth, your experience mirrors that of countless humans across the millennia, different in countless details, yet fundamentally the same in its humanity. And as your own eyelids grow heavy, as you sink deeper into your comfortable bed, so unlike the cave floor of your Stone Age companions, perhaps you carry a small spark of connection to those ancient ancestors, a reminder that beneath the vast differences in our daily lives, we share the same essential humanity, the same capacity for struggle and joy, fear and courage, isolation and belonging. Sleep well, and may your dreams be as rich as those of your Stone Age counterparts, filled with the ancient wisdom that still lives somewhere deep in your modern mind.